I never imagined that a quiet evening watching videos on my girlfriend's phone would unravel everything I thought I knew about our relationship. We were sitting together, close, like we always did, just scrolling, laughing, killing time. It should have been one of those cozy, forgettable nights. But one single video changed all of that. I saw her swipe it away so fast, like it burned her screen. And it wasn't just the action, it was the look on her face. Panic, guilt, fear. It was like I caught her in the middle of something she desperately didn't want me to see. I didn't even accuse her. I just asked, "Why'd you skip that one?" But instead of laughing it off or telling me something innocent, she lashed out with venom. "I don't need to explain anything to you. So just F asterisk 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 off." It hit me like a punch to the stomach. This wasn't just defensive, it was rage. It was deflection. It was wrong. I've seen her angry, but never like this. Never with such fire over something so small, unless it wasn't small at all. I told her that her reaction scared me, that it was out of character, that it felt unnatural. And then she dropped the bomb. "Either you drop it, or I show you the video, but I'll break up with you immediately afterward." What was that supposed to mean? A threat? A trap? She wasn't trying to convince me of anything. She didn't reassure me. She just dropped an ultimatum like a landmine. That's when I knew. Something was really wrong. But I couldn't afford to set that mine off, not yet. I played it cool. Or at least I tried. Told her I'd drop it. But inside, everything changed. I couldn't stop thinking about it. The video. Her reaction. The way she stared at me like I was the enemy for even noticing. It festered. And it wasn't just paranoia. I had reasons. She's a self-proclaimed cheating apologist. Her own father's a chronic cheater. And her phone? Barely a few months old. Why would she have an old video of a friend making out with someone, especially a friend she hadn't spoken to in over a year? No. Something didn't add up. And I felt like I was losing my grip on reality. She painted me as insecure, controlling. Said I was overthinking. Made me question myself. And the worst part? I couldn't talk to anyone. Too many mutual friends. Too much risk. But I couldn't sit in silence anymore. I knew I had to confront her. I just didn't know how much that night would change the course of my life. The next few days were excruciating. I pretended everything was normal while inside, my mind was tearing itself apart. I started noticing things I'd ignored before, late-night texts she quickly deleted, sudden bursts of irritation when I asked simple questions, and the way she'd go unusually quiet after scrolling through her messages. It was all there, in plain sight. I had just been too trusting to see it. But now, I was watching. Every moment, every reaction, every carefully chosen word. She thought she'd throw me off the scent, but she had no idea I was already 3 steps ahead. I couldn't confront her yet, not without proof, not without a solid foundation to stand on. Because if I accused her too early, she'd twist it. She was good at that, turning every concern into an attack, making me feel like I was the problem. I wasn't going to give her that chance. So I waited for the perfect moment. And it came. We were at dinner with friends. She was chatting, laughing, playing the perfect girlfriend. But I could see it, the subtle tension in her posture, the way her phone never left her hand, even at the table. Then, just for a second, she put it down and turned to laugh at something. That's all it took. I quietly reached over and tilted her phone toward me. She was still logged into everything. No passcode had been activated yet. Her messaging app was open. The top message preview stopped my breath cold. It was a saved video, labeled with nothing but a heart emoji. My hand trembled as I opened it. What I saw made my blood run ice cold. There she was with someone else. Not just kissing. Intimate. Passionate. Raw. And worse, it was recent. I recognized the outfit. The couch. Our couch. My heart sank. But I didn't say a word. I locked the phone and placed it right back where it was, acting like nothing had happened. The betrayal burned in my chest like fire, but I forced myself to stay calm. I needed control. I needed a plan. This wasn't just about heartbreak anymore. It was about justice. About taking back my dignity. I smiled through the rest of dinner. Made jokes. Clinked glasses. But in the back of my mind, I was building my next move. I didn't want revenge in the moment. I wanted a finale, a reckoning. And I was going to make sure she never saw it coming. That night, I lay awake next to her, listening to her steady breathing as if nothing was wrong. I turned slightly, watching the soft glow of her phone screen reflect off the ceiling. She had no idea that I knew. No idea what storm was brewing just inches away. And still, she smiled in her sleep like the world was hers. It was almost poetic, how easily some people can rest, even with blood on their hands. But I wasn't going to confront her in bed. No, that was too easy, too small. I needed to make this unforgettable. I needed her to feel a fraction of the humiliation she had so carelessly handed me. The next morning, I got up early and headed straight for my friend Marcus's place. Marcus is a tech genius, quiet, calculated, and fiercely loyal. When I showed him the video and explained what I needed, he didn't even hesitate. "Let's get to work," he said, cracking his knuckles and booting up his laptop. Within an hour, we had access to everything: her messages, her cloud storage, even deleted conversations. And what we found was far worse than I imagined. She wasn't just cheating, she was documenting it. Dozens of videos, flirty exchanges, jokes about me, about how clueless I was, about how she deserved something real after putting up with my boring loyalty. Each word felt like a dagger, twisting deeper and deeper into my chest. But I didn't break. Not in front of Marcus. Not in front of anyone. I sat there in silence, absorbing it all, letting the pain fuel me. The worst part? One of the guys she was seeing was married. Happily, from what I could see. Pictures of him and his wife at their anniversary dinner, celebrating birthdays, holding hands at the beach. I realized then, it wasn't just me who deserved to know the truth. This man's wife was just as much a victim of this lie as I was. And I wasn't going to let her stay in the dark. I printed everything. I made copies. Flash drives. Physical photos. Dossiers, if you will. It was clinical. Cold. Efficient. Every piece of evidence neatly categorized and time-stamped. It wasn't just revenge anymore. It was surgical accountability. If she wanted to turn our life into a performance, then I was going to make the final act a showstopper. And as I stared at the stack of damning material in my hands, I smiled for the first time in days. Not because I was happy, but because I finally felt something other than betrayal. Control. I chose the perfect stage for the reveal, a restaurant she adored. One of those trendy spots with overpriced wine, ambient lighting, and just the right level of pretension to make someone feel like a queen. She had no idea I had made a reservation under a different name. No idea that tonight, the illusion she'd carefully crafted was about to implode. I told her I wanted to take her out for dinner. Just the two of us. "We've been distant lately," I said. "Let's reconnect." She smiled, warm, unsuspecting, and agreed. "That sounds perfect," she replied. Oh, it would be. Just not in the way she thought. Marcus helped me set everything up. I brought the dossier with me, printed screenshots, copies of messages, a USB drive with videos. Everything tucked neatly in a matte black envelope. It wasn't just about catching her off guard. It was about making her feel the weight of her own lies in the most public, inescapable way possible. When we arrived, I asked for a booth tucked in the corner. She looked beautiful, of course, hair done, makeup perfect, wearing that red dress she knew I loved. The irony burned. For a second, I almost faltered. Almost. But then I remembered the smirks, the jokes behind my back, the way she touched him in that video, and I knew I had to follow through. We ordered drinks. Chatted idly. She leaned forward and placed her hand on mine like nothing had changed, like she wasn't sleeping with someone else behind my back. And just as the waiter brought our starters, I slid the envelope across the table. "What's this?" she asked, brows furrowed, laughing nervously. "A surprise." "In a way," I said quietly. "Go ahead. Open it." She hesitated, then slowly peeled back the flap. I watched her expression shift from curiosity to confusion to horror. Her face drained of color. She tried to close the envelope, hide it beneath the table, but it was too late. I was already standing. "I just wanted to give you the courtesy of seeing it here, in person," I said, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "Before I disappear from your life. Permanently." People were turning. Eyes on her. On me. The room thick with silence. She stammered something, tried to stand, but I was already walking away, calm, composed, free. I exited into the night, my heart pounding not from sadness, but from liberation. Behind me, her world was unraveling. And for the first time in months, I felt whole. Not broken. Not betrayed. Just done. After that night, I vanished. No calls. No texts. I deleted every trace of her from my phone, blocked her on every platform, even changed my number. I moved out of our apartment while she was at work, left nothing behind but silence. Let her walk into the echo of her own betrayal. Let her realize that I hadn't just left, I had erased myself from her life completely. She tried to find me. I heard from mutual friends that she'd shown up at my old office, crying, claiming it was all a misunderstanding. One even said she called it just a stupid mistake. A mistake? No. A mistake is forgetting to buy milk. What she did was calculated, ongoing, and heartless. I knew she never expected consequences. That's why the fallout was so delicious. See, Marcus didn't just help me expose her, he posted the videos online. Nothing graphic, but damning enough. Blurred faces, but with timestamps, locations, and audio. People started connecting the dots. Friends began questioning her. Her boss heard the rumors. Within a week, the guy she cheated with was dumped by his fiancée. Turns out she was pregnant. A double betrayal. His life collapsed in on itself like a dying star, and I didn't feel sorry for either of them. My ex-girlfriend lost her job not long after. Not directly because of the scandal, but let's just say the company didn't appreciate the sudden wave of attention. HR doesn't take kindly to controversy, especially when clients start asking questions. Meanwhile, I moved cities. Started fresh. New job. New apartment. New peace. And yet, there was still this phantom ache. Not for her, not for what we had. That was dead and buried. No, what hurt was the trust she destroyed. The part of me that believed in forever. She didn't just cheat on me. She killed the version of me that loved without caution. But in its place, something stronger grew. Wiser. Sharper. I didn't get revenge in the explosive, movie-style way. I simply removed myself, burned the bridge behind me, and made sure she could never follow. She lost everything. I found myself. And in the end, that's the best revenge there is. It's been over a year since that night in the restaurant. The night everything fell apart and, strangely, began to fall into place. I won't lie and say the healing was quick. For months, I carried this invisible weight. Memories clawing at the edges of my peace. Questions echoing in my mind at 2 a.m. Was I not enough? Did she ever really love me? What else had she lied about? But over time, the sharpness dulled. I began to laugh again. Real laughter, not the forced kind you fake around coworkers. I took up running, something I hadn't done since college. There was something therapeutic about pounding the pavement, music in my ears, lungs burning, mind quiet. With each mile, I shed a layer of bitterness. I started therapy too. Not because I was broken, but because I didn't want the poison she left behind to fester inside me. I refused to let her betrayal shape the man I would become. The sessions were hard, unpacking years of trust, vulnerability, and shame, but they were worth every second. Eventually, I met someone new. It wasn't fireworks at first. There were no grand gestures, no cinematic love at first sight moments. Just a quiet, steady warmth. She asked questions and actually listened. She respected boundaries. She didn't flinch when I told her what I'd been through. She just held my hand and said, "You didn't deserve that." It hit me then. Love isn't supposed to be chaotic. It's not supposed to make you doubt your own sanity or question your worth. Real love feels like coming home, not to someone else, but to yourself. As for my ex, I haven't heard from her since the fallout. The last I heard, she was working a dead-end job, couch surfing, and still trying to spin the story to make herself the victim. Let her. I'm not angry anymore. Indifference is colder than hate, and far more satisfying. Some people say closure comes from confrontation. I disagree. Closure is watching your life bloom while there's crumbles in the rearview mirror, and not even caring enough to look back. And that's exactly what I did. I moved forward. Quietly. Powerfully. And I never looked back.